And we're live.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. You remember how in the first video that we did, I was drinking a whole glass of just straight up maple sap?
Yeah.
Well, this is the final product of the maple sap turning into maple syrup, and it is probably the best syrup I've ever had.
It's not clear, is it?
It's not clear. No, it's much darker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good. All right. So let's get into this live stream. So the first slide that I have today is talking about the taxpayers. It looks like there's about 46% of taxpayers that are actually looking at turning their refunds into savings this year, which I think is significant because I don't actually know what it's been in the past in terms of how many people are planning on just saving their tax refund. But when you look at this this article, they have a graph in here that shows that 46% are planning on saving it and 37% are planning on paying off debt with it, which I think is very significant because a lot of people just like they get their refund and they're like, all right, and now I can, blow it on anything I want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are you planning on doing with yours?
Savings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in my savings now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the number was kind of surprising to me too. Most people I know are just like, well, it's shopping time.
Yeah. Yeah, because people have all that money withheld for the government throughout the year and then think that it's like an extra paycheck.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, I've felt like that in the past as well. But the fact that people are actually planning on saving it is really good news in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which I think goes well into the next slide, which is something that you brought up.
Yeah. So my question to that first slide was, why do people want to save their money all of a sudden?
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the first thing that came to my mind was, well, the economy is kind of unstable or unpredictable, more unpredictable than usual, in my opinion. So
yeah,
that might be a factor into why they would want to save it. So yeah, this article, it was by fortune.com, and it was discussing the differences between the recession in 2008 and the market now.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit on some similarities, but mostly differences. And the one key difference that I have there on the next slide was the homes and how actually the amount of homes that are available now are a lot less than in 08. Mm. So in 08, when people were buying all these houses and they weren't able to, pay their mortgage after other circumstances,
mm-hmm.
A lot of people lost their jobs and stuff. Their houses weren't worth what they owed anymore.
Yeah.
And so this article was basically saying that the difference now is that homes are basically keeping their value, and actually their value is going up. And that's because here in this slide, from 2000 to 2010, U.S. home builders produced 27.1 million homes. The next decade, that number plunged to just 5.8 million.
Oh yeah,
so a lot less new homes out there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
but there are still a lot of older people who still have homes, and a lot of younger people like our age who are actually trying to purchase homes.
Correct.
So
yeah, I found that number to be kind of surprising to me, at least, because where we live, it seems like there's new houses everywhere. But yeah, we're in a very bubble-ish kind of county here in Ohio. So
yeah, and yet when I looked up our area, like the central Ohio area, the average home went up 16% in I think it was 2020, which is insane.
Yeah,
I mean that's a lot of value in a single year.
Yeah.
So
that's that was kind of reassuring to me, because I kind of tend to be a Debbie Downer kind of guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the market's kind of got me kind of thinking about bad things more than good things. So that was encouraging to see, because the supply and demand, you can't refute supply and demand.
Yeah.
So, and we're probably going to talk about that a lot today.
Yeah. And the good news is, it seems like we talk a lot on here thus far about some pretty bad news in
Yeah.
terms of gas prices and stuff, which unfortunately is the next the next
Yeah.
slide. But that is good news. So the next thing that I wanted to bring up was it looks like there's a possibility that we might get a gas tax holiday, which sounds very nice. And, you know, maybe it actually will help some people. But the problem is when you look at the next slide here, which is straight from the Penn Wharton budget model, what they actually say is they expect the federal gas tax from March to December. So from right now until the end of this year, that it would lower the average gasoline spending per person by $16 to $47, which is not a whole lot. And I understand, like, you know, you've got expenses that build on each other, and the more tiny expenses that you have, the less money you have to spend on large things like a home or a car or anything like that, you know, food, those kinds of things. But I don't know if this is really going to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know it's been proposed by different states. I think even some states have passed it, right? I think Georgia maybe.
maybe.
But yeah, I don't think there's any talk about it in Ohio.
Yeah, I think probably the thing that's going to potentially increase, you know, the amount of savings that we can actually take from the gas prices nowadays is just going to be increasing our production here in the United States, because, you know, the more you have to pay for shipping and stuff from other countries, obviously other countries are trying to also increase their profit from fuel, especially in a time where you have a high demand for it and a lower supply because of things like the Russian-Ukraine situation. You know, increasing our production here on the homeland is going to be significant.
Yeah.
If we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, just not, having to ship it, I think, would burn more fuel.
Yeah,
you know?
no kidding.
It's kind of ironic, but yeah, and I'm cool with the whole electric thing, but not like quickly. I think we need to kind of move into it.
Yeah, and I think you and I agree on that. Like, I'm perfectly fine. I would like to see renewable energy become more efficient and stuff, but that isn't something that we can do immediately. And obviously, right now we have a huge need for energy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make any sense to be going to other countries to be purchasing the same amount of energy that we are going to be using anyways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would like to afford a Tesla.
Yeah,
but I can't right now.
Yeah, same here.
I have rode in one and it is great.
I haven't even ridden in one.
It's wild.
Yeah. All right, next one is one that I have about that, you know, we're coming up to the tax day, April 18th, and something that's good to remember is if you have any extra cash that you can still contribute to your IRA and your HSA for 2021 contributions. The IRA is a great way. I mean, they're both tax benefits, but the IRA is a great way to save for retirement, and the HSA is a great way to save for health expenses in the future. You can carry that HSA from company to company, and it's got triple tax savings. So it's not taxed. The money that you put into it isn't taxed. The growth isn't taxed, and also the money that you pull out isn't taxed. So it's got huge tax benefits. And whoops, let me put that back. And so in 2021, based on the IRS, you can put up to $6,000 into your IRA. And that is, if you do that every year, I mean, that's a massive amount of money once you retire.
Yeah. Get out your compound interest calculator.
Yeah, no kidding. And also for the HSA, you can put up to $3,600 in per individual and $7,200 per family for your health expenses. And especially if you're a generally healthy family, then that just continues to grow because you can actually invest your HSA and turn that into, you know, a large nest egg per se, just for health expenses later in life, which is when you're more likely to need it.
Yeah.
So just remember that if you have a little extra money, then you can put it in your IRA and your HSA.
Yeah. Alternative savings with your tax returns.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, this one's yours.
Yeah, so this was an interesting article that I found. And I guess the first thing that I saw in it was that 26% of the world's wheat exports actually come from Russia and Ukraine. So that's kind of a big thing right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
That could affect the whole world, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this second slide here on this one, it describes how prices in the U.S. have already shot up of wheat, a bushel, to $12 a bushel. That's up 30%. And this article, they interviewed a farmer from Kansas, and he was basically talking about how he had basically had inquired on selling his crops already at this high price to try and take advantage of it. That's on the next slide here. And they basically told him that that wasn't going to be happening because let's see here in their future prices for corn and wheat had skyrocketed so abruptly that many along the complex chain of grain handling, local farm cooperatives, grain elevators, flour millers, and exporters stopped buying for fear that they wouldn't be able to resell at a profit.
Jeez.
So yeah, kind of alarming there. And then that coupled with the fertilizer prices are expected to jump 12% this year. And that's on top of 17% increase from last year. So farmers are going to have to decide on how much fertilizers they're going to use and whether to use, a lot or a little, I guess. So
Yeah.
that, of course, could then affect supply and demand later on at the end of the year when the harvest comes to town. So
Yeah.
just, prepare for that and watch for that in grocery prices.
Yeah. Yeah. Because unfortunately, that's very likely to affect our grocery bill.
Yeah.
This year, next year.
Yeah. Some good news was that I guess I read that India is expected to have a very high output.
Mm-hmm.
But there again, it has to be shipped here. So
yeah.
And yeah, they're not just going to sell to us. So how much is it going to affect?
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So I've got one more. And it is the 5 countries that are the best places to retire with the most livable climates. So you haven't seen this article yet, so I'm going to ask you, what do you think are some of these 5 countries? Now we're talking countries that have, the best places to retire. So obviously, if you're taking your money from America, then places where your money's going to go a little bit further in their economy, as well as maybe more temperate climates.
Yeah, so I guess I would probably say Mexico would be one.
Okay. Mexico is number 5,
nice.
Which is a good guess.
Let's see here. Maybe is Canada one? Are we talking climate, or are we talking? Is it climate and?
I think it's a combination of the economics.
Okay.
The economic side. So how far your American dollar is going to go in that economy, as well as the climate, because retirees tend to go for warmer areas.
Huh. I would say that the majority of them have to be like South American countries.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. One, the Dominican Republic.
Okay. I don't think that was one of them.
Okay.
But that's okay. Honestly, I'm impressed with that you got Mexico. I don't know if I would have gotten
Colombia.
I don't know how many I would have gotten, but so the next 3 are actually a 3-way tie.
Okay.
So you got Colombia, Ecuador, which I have heard is a great place for retirees to go.
I heard that
because our family has some family friends that that are living in Ecuador and their parents are actually thinking about moving down there at some point. I don't know if they would move down there permanently, but I think that they really like that area for the amount that they can get with their American dollar, as well as, you know, the climate. In Peru.
Okay.
Yeah. And the last one
What's
is
number 1?
yeah, Portugal.
Portugal. How about that?
Yeah. So we go from pretty much all Central to South American countries down all the way over to European.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that any of the 5 are for me.
yeah, I was going to ask you, would you consider moving to any of them?
Are we talking permanent residence or?
Sure.
I'm a snowbird kind of guy, so no.
Yeah. Okay.
None of them.
But if you had enough money that you could have a secondary residence
Yes.
there, then you would consider.
I would be a snowbird. Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. So that is all I've got.
Yep, me too.
So thank you for joining in, and we'll see you in the next live news broadcast.
Yeah.
And make sure you like and subscribe. See ya.